Coming up on Woodwalkers.
You ain't afraid of getting wet, are you? I hope the hell not.
I've seen guys put stiff legs down on their toes. Took their toes right off.
Yeah, you blow some stuff up in here, you're in trouble.
If I don't pass, I'm gonna get mad. Really mad.
I grew up in Costa Mesa, Huntington. I didn't realize how blessed I was till I moved in other places. Yeah, it's a great place to live. You always got a cool breeze out here, even though you're not exactly on the beach. You got the mountains, jump, hop, skip away, desert, beach. You got it all right here within an hour or two-hour drive. You know, and all this stuff, once you have the equipment, doesn't really cost you anything. But yeah, great place to grow up. I love living in the forest as well. Currently, I've been living in Big Bear Lake. Got my own place, nice little plot of land for me and my dog. Small town called Fawnskin. Not many people live there. Out there, you got rock climbing, hiking, mountain biking, fishing. I love it, but it's not the world. You know, I've moved a couple places and there's a lot of beauty in this country. I'm ready to go, you know, explore some more.
I like to learn new things.
Waiting for the rain, cool stuff.
You ain't afraid of getting wet, are you? I hope the hell not, because I don't care if you care, because we're going to get wet.
With temperatures nearing the triple digits, rain is a welcome addition to the long, hot days in the pole circle. Working in these tough conditions gives the students a taste of what it will be like on the job.
Some of the things that we do in the PC, especially at the early stage to build confidence, we'll take a ball and throw it up at 15 foot or 30 foot, whatever level they are, and we'll throw it around the PC and they have to catch it. You gotta communicate, you gotta let them know what's coming, because what you do on that pole affects your partner 2 poles down. So we were just throwing the ball around. That helps them turn in their belts. And then I throw up another ball. I threw up a water bottle, I threw up a spray can. That way, you know, they keep their head on a swivel, they know what's going on around them all the time. And it really helps with their communication too, because, you know, they have to be able to talk to one another, let them know constantly what's going on. You know, you might have a guy sneak in your drop zone. You got to be aware of what's going on around you, even if you're not expecting it, okay? In line work, you have got to be paying attention. You can't have tunnel vision. You have to be knowing what's going on below you, above you, beside you, 10 poles down. Not just what's right in front of you, but everything around you.
Dylan's always full of energy, you know, and riding dirt bikes and stuff. And
we have a farm on down the road. He put up deer stands out there and he hunted out there a lot.
I got to where I'd just drive him out to the woods and turn him loose and he'd go by himself, you know, and I'd sit in the truck and kind of worry about him a little, but he was a big boy, he wanted to hunt by himself.
He'd say he'd like to be a game warden, and I really thought that's what he was gonna do for a while.
I wanted him to get into national wildlife because he was such a big hunter and fisherman, but no. He wanted to do the lineman. He was struck, this is what I'm gonna do. And of course I tried to beg him out of it.
You've got to be driven to do this work, because you're out there every single day, 95-degree weather during the summer, and you're having to climb up the poles. It takes a lot of strength and a lot of mentality to be able to do it.
I think he likes the traveling part of it, seeing places he's never seen before.
I know that this is the best thing for me to do, and there's no other route I had. I'm really heartstrong, and I knew she was the one I wanted to be with. I told her that I wanted to marry her, and her parents said, well, you can marry her, but you have to have a foundation to build off of. You're not leaving our house tonight until you pick something. You've got to pick something. I said, well, it's a done deal. I'm going to lineman school. Once I finally got my acceptance letter, she texted me and she said, since my parents know how driven you are, I can engage to her right after I get out. I was going to do it on graduation day, but I got to have a job. For me and for who I am and for what I believe in, lineman is probably the best thing for me.
As the weekend rolls around, many students will head home for some rest and relaxation to recharge for the week to come. But others can't help but want to expand their knowledge of the trade. PC5 instructor John Arlt volunteers on his weekends off to take some students by active work sites for a field trip experience.
What does it take for a brand new kid who really doesn't know anything walking onto a job site? And here, the 5 students that have chose to come in on their day off when they could be home relaxing, I would expect them to do well in this industry. You're going to get out of this industry what you put into it. Or
Knowledge
give
is
you
power,
a little bit
right?
of knowledge. That's going to put you a couple steps ahead of the next guy who hasn't seen this, you know?
How large is the substation?
Quite large. The perimeter fence, I mean, I don't want to say a football field, but it's large. Yeah, I didn't have any real game plan in coming out here, you know, other than you guys just to see some stuff. And
Well, the more we see, the more we learn, you know?
let's hop out and look at some stuff. So the same little transformers you guys are talking about right now at school, same thing right there. From the substation, you will know what phase is what. If you go to an area and you don't know the voltage, you would look at how long the string of insulators are, how tall they are, and that could change based on proximity to the ocean. Florida Power and Light, we had stuff that we would not put 7,000 volts on, yet up in Big Bear they were putting 34,000 volts because elevation, dryness, they didn't have the salt spray that we had in Florida. That was one reason.
With over 30 years of experience, John has turned his passion of line work to safety training. His dedication to training the next generation of line workers is unparalleled, making sure they understand the importance of being their brother's keeper.
Markings A, B, and C phases. What's the 4th one?
It could be a spare bus. It almost looks like at the other end something's hooked to it, and we're actually hooked to it halfway down. So that's your system neutral. This entire facility has a grid of probably 4/0 copper under the gravel. And every one of these posts is probably connected to it. I still enjoy doing line work. I really, truly do, but I've also got a passion for safety and training. And if it can help one of these kids get a job and a career and do it safely, then I'll continue doing this for as long as I can. Maybe 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when I'm ready to retire, one of them will step in and take my place teaching around the world. I can't see any numbers, but can you see how it'd be confusing? I need you to go to Oglethorpe Substation and open switch number 7392. And right next to it is switch number 7329. You get those numbers transposed on your switching order, or you make your 1s look like a 2, you make your 2 look like a 1 out here in this substation, what do you get?
Death.
At best, you get fired. Yeah, you blow some stuff up in here, you're in trouble.
In line work, there are dangers all around. Learning to keep your head on a swivel and remembering your training is critical.
This little tiny tower here, is this a grounding tower? It's connected over there, that pole, these transmission lines?
Well, follow it back, see where all this stuff goes. So what is it doing over top of the substation structure here? Creating like an umbrella to help keep lightning from getting in here and damaging stuff. When I get on or near a substation, my hands go right to my pockets. It's habit. If you walk in here, there's possibly stuff where if you, hey, what's that? There's possibly stuff that you could get within the minimum approach. Hey, what's that thing there? What does this handle do? This is not the place to do that.
The students have an opportunity to learn about different paths within the lineman industry. Just like their instructors keep telling them, you get out what you put in.
So if you get on with a major utility as a helper or an entry-level person, this is a viable path you could go. You could go lineman, you could go substation, you could go transmission, distribution, maybe even underground, maybe meter department. Very viable career path right here. Same money, if not more, as a lineman. But where are you showing up every day? You're inside of a fenced-in area, whether it's this one or the next one or the next one. You're still inside that same fenced area potentially every day for a period of time. Today, I would argue that you guys could build that pole right there, right? What do you need for that pole? What do you need to build the pole? You need a pole, you need 6 bolts, 7 bolts, insulators, cross arms, right? Is that pole really any different than the ones you've built in the yard? Is that really any different than what you've built? I mean, yeah, it's quite different, but is it really?
Healy. Here. Lawson. Here. McKean.
When these guys leave here,
Raymond.
they're going to be on an Altec digger truck. So the guys that are taking the crane class are getting a lot more advanced training. They're getting to move through obstacle courses. Some of these guys have never operated anything other than a PlayStation handle before. And the Altec trucks are really easy to learn from.
They operate really smooth and really nice. The T-grip handle makes it so easy to turn.
It's pretty easy to operate.
We've taken customer feedback on products, but also try to look towards the future. How can we make the lineman's job easier and safer?
They're a little bit easier to control. Bucket trucks are a lot smoother. They don't jump around as much.
I've operated cranes for 8 years before I came here. They were all 5-lever operation, and the smoothness of the T-handle is amazing.
It's good to have that crane certification. These companies, they're looking for people with the most qualifications, and when you go to apply for a job, if you've got a CDL, you've got crane cert, that's bringing more to the table. They're going to see you as more of a hiring asset.
The infrastructure that we have, electricity, Wi-Fi, all these things are going to be needed to be maintained. And these are the guys that are going to do it coming into this next generation.
As of 2014, OSHA requires every crane operator be certified. So they're not going to have the job unless they get this certification.
These guys are getting that extra training through the crane course, and that just makes them a lot more marketable to other companies.
First thing we're going to show you guys how to do today is set up your stabilizers. It's going to be your job as an operator to set the machine up. So pay close attention.
Always want to try to get that stiff leg, the stabilizer center of that pad. Always, when you're putting these down, pay attention. I've seen guys put stiff legs down on their toes. Another guy's toes getting in the bend over there, getting some out, and put the stiff leg down, took their toes right off.
Why we're here is safety, number one. So all the skills they're learning right now is going to teach them how to safely control their load.
We got about 1,200 pounds that we're going to be lifting right there. And you get that thing moving and jumping, and it starts jumping like that, and you get slack in that wedge line, it'll take a truck over pretty quick. Just the hands-on experience that these guys are getting by taking the crane is going to help them tremendous when they leave here and get a job. They're taking that chain and they're trying to put it in the little PVC pipe, and that just helps them learn the finesse part of the controls.
It takes a lot of patience to be slow on the controls so that they're not losing control of the load and back again to safety.
That second crane that we've got set up, they're learning how to stop the swing on the winch line. They've got to drop that ball down into the barrel without bumping the barrel.
The figure eight is probably the hardest of all the skills. The finesse in the hand controls, depth perception, and knowing what to do when something goes wrong.
The one I probably struggled at the most was this figure eight with the barrel. It's a test of operating several different controls at the same time. As you boom down, you have to pull the winch up because it brings the load closer to the ground.
All of these combined, it gets them to where they're comfortable with controls.
Most companies, and it's coming to all companies today, are not going to hire you without a CDL.
One of the main purposes companies are hiring these guys for is to drive trucks to the job site. If you don't have a Class A CDL, you can't do that.
They want guys that can help out the crew. And without a CDL, you can't help the crew. It's crucial.
So y'all did straight line yesterday. This one's offset today. And unlike straight line, you do not go all the way through the cone. If anything crosses the line, they count that as points, right? Use a get out. Walk around the truck, make sure nothing's hanging over the lines. If something is hanging over the lines, get back in the truck and fix it. If you messed up outside the cones and you need to pull up, you need to get it again, you have to start over in the other lane.
The Class A CDL is one of the hardest things you're going to complete while you're here.
All right, so we're going to teach these guys how to drive. Some of them come in knowing what they're doing. Most of them don't. Some of them come in with no more experience, you know, than driving a bicycle just about. And then they're going to leave here with a Class A CDL driving a semi-truck.
We got tests out the wazoo. We got digger derrick, we got crane, we have our CDL permit, then you have your CDL driving, then you have the 2 tests on Thursdays. Like you're studying too much, you can't do nothing. You don't want to go out and do anything. You want to just go eat, come home, shower, and go to bed.
With 3 sons, it was always about competition, no matter what it was.
Ben always raced 4-wheelers. Colin is also very competitive. Dylan wants to be right in there with them.
Lineman life's not easy, you know. I mean, it's a bunch of tough guys there.
He saw Colin do well in it, and so he decided that's what he wanted to do.
Back in the fall of 2015, my brother went, and I was able to go to his graduation. And I got to see him climb the pole, be the team leader, got to see him walk out and get his name called out, and it looked real cool. Kinda in a way I wanted to do what my brother did. I wanted to follow him. I wanted to be just like him.
Dylan and Colin are different, of course. Colin, a little bit bigger, tough guy, but now Dylan is tough. You just can't tell it. But I've seen Dylan and Colin go at it, you know, and Dylan will hold his own with Big Brother.
Dylan has proven to Colin and several people that he's tougher than they think.
If there's a job out there people tell me that I can't do, it may take me longer to do something, but I've always been able to. And so I want to be able to do this job and let people know, hey, he's little, but he still has the determination to do it.
If he wants something, he goes for it, regardless of what anybody else tells him.
Growing up over the years, I've had to do this type of stuff with a 16-foot trailer on a pickup. It's pretty fun to me. My biggest worry is just the inspection part, knowing all the different parts of the truck. That's where I'm going to struggle at. It's the same principle as a regular truck, with the exception that this is a CDL truck, so the CDL will have more parts to it, and you gotta know the names for everything. but it's not that hard. It's just being determined at it and knowing what the hell you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, then that's where you're gonna mess up at, and pay attention. We're all ready to move on to the next step, which is get a job, start working, start making money. So we're getting there slowly.
All right, so pull straight up into that one and go into the other one.
That's it.
You gotta make sure you do everything nice and smooth and not get too aggressive with it. Don't put too much speed like he about overturned it.
If you can just get that in there and pull up and straighten it up, it looks just as good as if you got it the first time. It's just if you passed or if you didn't.
Are we allowed to go talk to him?
Yeah, if you're not going to mess him up.
No.
Yep.
There's a lot of guys out here that whenever we first started, they were struggling, and after we motivated them, they completely changed their entire aspect of it and their entire view of it, and they just turned out better than what a lot of us had expected.
Gotta give my little advice for it. My little 2 cents worth of an opinion. I hope I pass. If I don't pass, I'm gonna get mad. Really mad.
Whoever does not study pre-trip this weekend, you will fail, okay? All right, guys, have a good weekend.
Hey, can I get everybody's numbers so we can have a group chat?
If y'all want to ride with me, we can meet at the Morris Funeral Home Tuesday morning to go take our test. I'll have to carpool for a few people, so I'll be there all day. So I'll get to see who else passes and who else fails. So hopefully we'll all pass. We ain't doing too bad.